My journey is to wanting, so we talked about Scivive. It's like, yeah, I started recording all the good ideas I had for decades. And then I had this collection of recordings of awesome content. And I was like, all right, we need to get this out there. So I uploaded it all to YouTube and then downloaded the auto transcriptions to do voice to text, because I tried a bunch of other voice to text and it didn't work that well. And then you end up with something that's close to usable, but not totally. It still needs fixed a lot. So then I had a couple guys help me go through and turn the transcriptions into something useful. And then it's like, okay, here's all the knowledge of a lifetime. How do we categorize that? And I had to create a framework to categorize all of life. And I came up with something really unique and really special in Scivive, which is, and I think this is so great. If you look at the different ways that people organize life, you have like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's useless. You can't use it. You're like, oh, people need food. Okay, yeah. People need, emotional connection. Like, yeah. People need, shelter. You're like, okay, I can't use any of that shit. You can't, it doesn't have utility. We know these things already. They need air too, doesn't help me make decisions. So then you upgrade that to like another system, which is like Tony Robbins' 6 Human Needs. And then you're like, well, it's pretty good, but I think we could do better still. And I created something which involves a time component that it's never been seen before. And it consists of this. There's what you are today, which is your mind, your body, and your spirit. And what's the difference between mind and spirit? Well, mind is more like knowing, learning, and spirit is more like feeling and drive. So I made an analogy with a car. So like your intelligence is your horsepower. Your spirit is which way you turn the wheel. And then, maybe your body is the frame of the car, or the drive shaft, or the transmission. And so what you end up with is if you have a lot of power but no direction, you could be going the wrong way. If you have a lot of power but no traction, you're just going to sit there and spin your tires. So you need both. You need all of it. So that's a snapshot of what you are now, mind, body, spirit. But what is your future mind, body, spirit going to look like? Well, that's going to be based on your behaviors. Okay. So what are your behaviors? Well, these are your power amplifiers. This is money, power, and respect. Money makes you more of what you already are. If you're an asshole, be a bigger asshole. Nice guy, bigger nice guy. Power is your skill sets. How fast can you type? How's your Google foo? If you want to find something on Google, can you find it? What can you do? Can you do martial arts? Or what are you good at? And then respect is your team. So your peer group's going to influence you. Your employees are going to execute your will into the world. Your people that you associate with, you're going to learn from. They're going to learn from you. It's super important. So what you've got is your snapshot of where you are, your mind, body, spirit, your money, power, respect, which amplifies what you are. And then there's your time, environment, and experience. So what do you become? You become what you schedule. That's it. Hey, are you physically fit? If so, it's because you've consistently done fitness, period. Are you fat? Yeah. It's because you consistently ate the wrong way. That's it. So it's about consistency. It's about scheduling. It's about timing. So in your environment, right? Like your environment's always there. So why not just have the best stuff? This cabinet behind me, didn't pay much for it, but it's hundreds of years old and it will gain value, not lose value. So it's a superior product that actually gains value instead of loses it and looks better the whole time. So optimize your environment, schedule the things that you want to have happen. And then we've got longevity, which is, hey, if this stuff is good, well, why don't we have it be good for a little bit longer? And even if it doesn't work out for you, it could work out for your kids or their kids. And so let's work on medical technology because these things will be solved. It's just a question of they'll be solved while you're here or not. They're going to get solved. But will you be around to see that happen? So mind, body, spirit, money, power, respect, time, experience, and then there's different ways of putting it. So like space, time, events is one way you could put it. But there's other ways to put it. So I have to look at which way the editor decided on the last 3. So yeah, I like making the world a better place. And the fact that I could put out a video a couple years ago that says you shouldn't play poker or gamble and here's why, or you should stop playing grinding video games and here's why, and then that really makes a difference in the world and people really take that advice. It's just beautiful to me.
There are many things that can cause a person to live longer or shorter depending on their health behaviors. And one of the things that so the Scivive movement is surviving through science.
Well, you can't, if I wrote a book and it was just like, hey guys, I don't want to die earlier and more painfully than necessary. I already watched my dog die. I already watched my grandparents die. So it'd be really cool if you guys could build some tech so that when I need it, I don't have to get, I don't have to do a Steve Jobs and just die from some stuff I could have predicted was going to happen. Could you guys work on that? And we'd be like, you know what? We'd rather watch reality TV. You can't just tell people what you want off the bat, right? You meet a girl in a bar, you're like, hey, let me tell you what I'm thinking about right now. I'm thinking about when we leave the bar. You just can't do that shit. You have to do things the way that works. And if you want to make people's lives better, you can only influence them from what already influences them. So if people are influenced by significance, connection, sex, drugs, rock and roll, you got to give them that stuff. Once you've given them those things, once you've filled up their cup and enriched them, then they might listen to you and like, hey, you know what? Medical research, the life you save might be your own, and tilt them towards that. So, worst case, if people don't support medical research, then at least they'll be richer, smarter, have better relationships, all those things. But if they're able to be pivoted towards the end into, hey, medical research is what makes this game last for longer. And that's the goal. It's like, if you live for a minute, would it be worth it? No. If you live for 1 million years in constant pain, would it be worth it? No. Okay, well then it's health span. It's how long can you have an enjoyable time? That's the game. Like, what is the product of time times quality? We're already diminishing returns on quality. Food's not going to get much better. Perfumes aren't going to get much better. Organs aren't going to get much better, which leaves us with, all right, well, then we can have good stuff for a little longer. We could live as long as tortoises or clams or, name other long-lived animal. Like, let's start with that as a target and just, be 25 years old for an extra 10 or 20 years and then be 35 for an extra 10 or 20 years, something like that,